You coming? Crowd? Yep. What we're up to right now is we're putting concrete around the base of the poles. So the poles go into the ground 1.6 metres in a 600mm diameter hole. And so what that does is around the foot of each pole is a couple of tonne of concrete, and the idea is that it's actually not to support the weight of the shed, it's to stop the shed from blowing away in the wind. The strength of concrete is measured in MPa or megapascals, which is its ability to withstand force. And because this is just for the footings, it's just there for weight, it doesn't have to be very strong, so this is only 17 MPa. So I'm just doing the commentary in between loads. I'm just waiting for the next load to come from the truck. The reason we don't just drive the truck back here and unload direct into the holes is our access way is a bit greasy, and so the plan is to lay down some shingle before we pour the floor, because when we pour the floor it will be much more critical to have the truck back here. Now, talking about the strength of concrete, so the 17 MPa or 17 megapascal is enough for the stuff around the base of the poles, because it's just there to be heavy and stick to the poles. When we do the floor, we'll upgrade it to 25 megapascals, which doesn't sound like a lot, but makes a big difference to the strength. And we'll also throw in reinforcing mesh to give it a bit more integrity. Yeah, the combination of the stronger concrete to begin with, so more cement and less water and shingle, and on top of that the reinforcing mesh and also reinforcing bar or Rio around the outside, around the perimeter, and a slightly thicker perimeter wall makes the floor strong enough to cope with the weight of heavy machinery and that sort of stuff on it. Now the poles doesn't require any sort of finesse or skill to put concrete in the hole, so we're doing that ourselves, and then in a couple of days when we're all ready for it, we'll have a professional concrete placer come in, or a team of them actually come in, and we'll set up the floor and they'll actually place the concrete and finish it for us so we get a nice finish. So just in between loads of concrete coming out, I'm just watching the main highway which goes past the gate, and it's kind of cool just watching all the trucks go past and all the products that are on those trucks that are coming off New Zealand farms. I'm seeing milk tankers and stock trucks with sheep and cattle on them. I'm seeing forestry trucks carrying logs for things that people need, the food, the clothing, the housing, all the products that people need. Basically every truck that's going past, it's the same truck that would have gone past here 6 months ago, and now we've become aware that all those guys are actually an essential service rather than a nuisance. I heard a statistic once which I thought was pretty interesting, which is that Fielding, which is our local sort of market town, 50% of all the sheep in New Zealand are within 100 kilometres or live within 100 kilometres of Fielding. And you think there's how many million sheep there are in New Zealand, and how big a part we play in the global food supply chain for one little area of 100 kilometre radius. That's pretty astonishing, and that's kind of cool. And it's not the only thing we do either. There's plenty of other things. There's a lot of beef cattle and a lot of dairy and a lot of arable guys. And if you stretch out towards the edge of that 100 kilometres, there's probably quite a lot of horticulture and tree crops and those sorts of things. So there's a heck of a lot of food grown to feed a lot of people in a very, very small area around here. Right, where are we at now? So if you have a look around me, poles, more 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 poles, poles. So all the poles are up, they're all plumb, they're all in the correct position, and they've all got at least some concrete around the base of them, and we're just emptying the concrete truck and getting the last of the concrete in. Just directing the tractor. Yeah, so when we've got the last of the concrete in, tomorrow we can take down all the stays and start boxing up for the floor.